Oh.
Yeah. What up? You're not the only
Okay.
one now.
Oh.
Bring that shit. Bring that kazoo bullshit to my house. Get served by a fucking stylophone.
And now we can't ever be on anything. Ever.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to assume that means that we've started.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Welcome to Don't Get Your Hopes Up, the podcast about... my name is Josh Allen, a.k.a. Lore. Joining me, as always, is Mike B., a.k.a. Fony. And I'm just going to say it, today's a bit weird.
Today is a weird day.
Today is a bit weird. As we are recording this, the UK is currently voting to leave the EU. It's basically already in the bag. They're going to leave. According to the BBC, as I just refreshed, they only need like another 20,000 votes to leave, and they need like over 1 million to remain.
Sounds like GG.
Yeah, it sounds like GG. It's really close overall, which is kind of like, it's the sort of thing where the vote is close enough that it's kind of like, is this really something that we should be leaving up to a popular vote? I say we, obviously I'm not from there.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. And like crazy shit's already happening. Like the pound has already dropped by like 10%. Lowest that it's been since 1985, and like is expected to open at a total, like when they open the I forget the name of the market tomorrow, it's expected to open at like 19% total drop. Yeah. God. Which is, it's a bit crazy.
Great if you're pulling a paycheck from there and you don't live there, though, I guess, right? Isn't that how it works?
Not really. Because it still means, like, basically it means that if you have pounds and you need to convert them into other currency, which is a fairly regular thing for people, I think, that especially that travel even around the EU, like now it's you get less for it. So you used to get like $1.50 for every pound, and now you get like $1.40. So
Actually, it's $1.34.
wow. Yeah, so even worse than what I just said. So yeah, it's great for like when I go over there and have to spend my money,
right,
like my US money. And now it means things are like I'm getting a better exchange rate in that direction. But yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know enough about what it means overall to really be able to comment too much on what like the implications of it are. But yeah, it's the sort of thing that it's like, well, that just happened, and we're not sure how that's going to affect everything yet.
So it's so I did a little bit of a crash course before the show because this just happened.
Yeah,
and
everyone simultaneously went, "Wait, shit, what does this mean?"
I knew it was happening because all my friends who live overseas were talking about it. It's like, yeah, you should vote today. Even on Snapchat, I'm sitting there going through, and it's like, let's see, no titties, no titties, no titties, no titties, and I get to the bottom, it's all like, oh, Brexit. I was like, oh, what's this? And I watched this whole thing. It's like, they put all these stories together from people talking about you got to go and vote for whatever you want to exit if you want to stay, and people were making their arguments on Snapchat, and I was like, okay, cool, back to titties. And so it was just kind of like, all right, I kind of got the gist. And then now it's like, now that it's kind of blown up, I was like, okay, I feel like I need to talk to somebody that lives there now or that has been there very recently or something. I grew up there. That's why I pinged you about Olivia. I was kind of like, can I talk to her? But it seems like this is the kind of fears that went around, or the kind of stuff that went around over there. It sounds like basically vast majority vote to exit was done by it's kind of like here when voting is the demographics are split by age, where it's like the old people, quote unquote, swing one way and the young folks swing another. It sounds like that's kind of something that's happening over there. And then there's all like this fear mongering style propaganda and stuff like that was happening. And it sounds a whole lot like our politics, man. It sounds a whole lot like what's happening here with how Donald Trump has a very blunt opinion on various races and creeds and religions and whatnot, and speaks very broadly about them. I feel like that's probably something that happened over there, and in their case, it's swung what I believe the majority of young folks say is the wrong way. I have no say in it, of course, but that makes me fearful for us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh shit. Okay, if that can happen there, what are we gonna do here in America in November? That's also scary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I feel really bad for Scotland, especially because they just recently, like, just was it last year, 2 years ago, they
that's
were
right.
like voting, should we leave the UK or should we stay? And they were like, no, you know what? Like, they end up voting to stay, and the biggest predominant reason was because that way it's stable and we don't have to worry about like what that means and how much it's gonna have to change everything. And so now, like, Scotland is basically going, all right, Britain, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is not cool.
Do they get like a revote or something? Like,
I mean,
at this point, they could.
I would imagine
they should
so.
probably get a vote to just stay with the EU, right? Like, I feel like it's kind of fucked up that they're jumping along with their.
Yeah, so it's not like an immediate overnight thing. Like,
Sure,
it's basically there's 2 years to sort out how that's going to work according to the way that the EU law works. And it's not something that anyone's done before, like using this specific exit strategy. So it'll be really like, it's basically almost like a divorce settlement now. They have to figure out, okay, EU versus like what stuff in the UK is technically owned by the EU, and like what laws need to stick around, what laws do they need to create that will allow the UK to continue to operate in the EU despite no longer being a member of the EU, etc. It's just kind of like, huh. And I don't have any idea what that means overall, other than apparently the pound is just dropping like crazy.
Yeah, the markets are going to definitely get hit. I mean, UK is no small snowflake or something. Like it's definitely going to hit. It's going to hurt, and we won't know. And for another like 9 hours, something like that.
Yeah. Apparently, based on a tweet that I see on Twitter, so I don't. This is literally just some guy being retweeted. It sounds like the UK economy has lost $350 billion in value.
Fuck.
Which is a bit crazy.
Oh my god. I mean, here's the thing. It could open one way, it could close another, right? Like it could open complete shit. It could close and recover some. I'm trying to be optimistic about it, but then it's like it's probably not going to happen though. But ouch. Like, you basically have, because it's happened right now, there's still another, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, however long it is, until the market opens. Plenty of time for people to panic. And when panic happens, panic is never good for a market. Market needs stability. It needs small measured changes and fluctuations. It doesn't need panic mode. So all this time for all this panic and all these rash decisions that are going to happen all at once, that's going to be bad. So it'll probably hit super low, like stupidly low, lower than we've ever seen again. And maybe we'll swing up a little bit more, but I feel like this is going to be a major loss overall.
Yeah. It is now official. They are leaving, which we expected, but yeah. Damn.
Man.
Some crazy shit. So it's going to be an interesting next few months, couple of years for the global economy, but especially for the European and UK one.
Yep. Oh, man. Wait, hold on a second. Election day 2006. I have to look. When is it? November 8th. Oh, fuck. November 8th, 2016. It's basically like when my next kid's gonna be here, so that's gonna be great.
Mm.
I get to, yeah, actually, the week after is when my next kid's due, so it's gonna be like, congratulations, you're. But actually, either way, I feel like you're part of the corrupt new world. Like,
Yeah. Well, welcome to the world, kid.
yep.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's exciting. Speaking of things dropping in price dramatically,
Oh.
the Steam Summer Sale is on.
That's the all-time best.
Jesus
Also
Christ.
at 19 and 20% off, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What have you done, Britain? Ugh.
Yes. And as expected, lackluster overall, with a couple of
Yeah.
good deals here and there.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed franchise is currently on sale.
Doom.
Unsurprisingly, Doom.
What do you mean,
It's on sale.
unsurprisingly?
I'm not surprised that Doom is on sale.
That's like the
It
best
it
game.
didn't get very good reviews.
Because of multiplayer. No.
Yeah,
I
but
know.
still,
I'm going to defend it to death because
Doesn't matter,
multiplayer
like,
ruined it.
Yeah. Darkest Dungeon is on sale, which I still haven't picked up because, like, basically, Darkest Dungeon is a game I've watched a bunch of people play, and it seems like a game I would really, really like, and I really want to play it. But they announced, like, ages ago that it was going to launch on the Vita, and I'm like, oh yeah, I spend a lot of time in an airplane. I would love to have Darkest Dungeon on my Vita while I'm in an airplane. And they just keep not releasing it. So I'm like, God damn it. Do I buy it for PC and play it twice on PC and then end up always wanting to play it on Vita instead? Or, yeah.
Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed is available. It is probably my favorite. It's the best non Mario Kart game you could get. Like, period. It's $10.
That's not bad at all.
Super good for PC players.
Orcs Must Die 2 is currently $3.74.
Really good co-op game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all the headline stuff. It's like I go down, it's like, man, really Call of Duty franchise, I don't give a fuck, you know, it's like Stardew, I already own it, it's Assassin's Creed, whatever, you know, it's like, I go down the list, it's like, okay, and then it's like, 80% off, oh man, what's that? Oh, NBA 2K16, all right, well, well, shit, don't
You
care.
can get all of the older Deus Ex games, not Mankind Divided, but all the previous ones for $8.24. It's a pretty good deal.
Yep. Oh, I didn't know this was a thing. Car Mechanic Simulator? What? What?
There's everything simulator nowadays.
Wait, can you choose the car though? Yeah, it looks like you can't. Wait, is there an air cooled? That's what'll do me right there. If I can't have a bug, I will virtually own one. I seriously doubt that happened, but anyways.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a year old too. Shit, I would dance.
Yeah, so Steam Summer Sale, RIP wallets.
Just like fun to hype. You know, it's like it's just one
Yeah.
of those things. It's like it's fun to just hype. It's like Christmas. It's like you never get anything good for Christmas, but it's fun to
Yeah.
just be like, yeah, Christmas. I'm taking the day off. I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna probably drink and hang out
Yeah.
with the family and eat a lot and whatever. And then you don't get anything good. But it's like, you know, you just hype it,
Yeah.
and that's it. Big truck.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Very big truck. So speaking of things that are on sale, Supercell has been purchased by Tencent.
Fucking roll,
For-
dude. On a fucking roll. But go on. Go on.
Yeah, these are like direct. Just I don't even have to go around in a circle. It's just straight one thing to the other. But yeah, Tencent has bought Supercell in one of the least surprising moves ever because Tencent buys fucking everything.
Yes, it does.
They bought them for $8.6 billion. It's not like an immediate buyout. They kind of bought a whole bunch of shares, and they're sort of expected to continue to buy bits and pieces of them until they're owned by everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting. Supercell is obviously one of those game devs that's in a position where they are really doing well right now. They have they're the top grossing mobile game developer right now. I believe they're the top grossing. Clash of Clans is just doing ridiculously well and continues
Yes,
to
it
do
is.
ridiculously well. And between that and Clash Royale and Boom Beach and Heyday, like they just have a whole bunch of titles that are all very popular. So yeah, Tencent doing what Tencent does best and just saying, you seem like you're going to make us a lot of money. Let's just buy you and then you can pay us. You can pay it back basically. Or like they'll earn their investment back over the next, like, I don't know, 6 weeks or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, it's interesting. Very different to the Daybreak games. Was it Daybreak?
Not
They got purchased by Tencent?
not by
too
Tencent,
long
no.
ago? Okay. Oh, that's right. I remember because we were drawing lots of correlations between Daybreak being purchased by whoever it was that bought them.
Yeah, we're comparing the two because
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Tencent is a Chinese-based company. They own WeChat, which you probably heard of WeChat, which is like the largest texting or messaging platform in China.
Yeah, it's like WhatsApp over there.
Exactly.
Basically.
They also own, and so they're huge in games over there. And
Yeah.
actually, the biggest, they're actually, the number one games, I think, in the world now, thanks to all this.
Yeah.
They own Riot. They own Epic. They have a 12% share in Activision Blizzard, actually. They own ZAM, which is why I know who they are and how they operate. And they own actually a little bit of Glue, Robot Entertainment, which is Orcs Must Die, and now Supercell. So they basically own like every other thing, every other game or thing that you touch.
Yeah.
They own.
Yeah, pretty much. And they've historically done a really, like, they've historically, when they buy a company, they'll at the very least for a while just kind of leave it alone and be like, all right, we've bought you, and we'll just let you keep doing what it is that you're doing. If it doesn't work out, then we'll come in and make changes later, which is kind of what ended up happening with ZAM.
Dicks.
But yeah. But like Riot, they've done basically nothing to Riot as far as I'm aware anyway. So yeah, it's interesting. It's not really like much to really discuss about it. Like, I'm not expecting that what's going to happen now is crazy shit like, oh, Tencent bought Supercell and Tencent also owns Riot, so that means that now Supercell's gonna put League of Legends characters into their Clash games.
Well, here's how they work. Here's some of the things they wanted to do in the past. And this is stuff that I knew before I worked for ZAM, so this is not like trade secrets or anything. This is one thing they're looking to do is they're looking for a way to get their games from China over here. And so it sounds to me like, whether they work on this or not, I mean, just like they did with ZAM, they bought ZAM, they put it on the back burner, and then touch it, and then they came in and basically just wiped everything clean because they just don't care who works there, and that gap was like 2-3 years, in a holding pattern. So one thing that I believe they're trying to do is they're looking for a way to bring their games over here. So if they get a bunch of games on board, they can bring titles over or bring those titles over to China or or vice versa. Like, they're basically looking for ways to kind of expand the market either way. So they're basically creating the bridge between the Western market and China. And the best way to do that is to not just be the bridge, but to own both sides. And so that's basically what they're doing. So they can bring properties back and forth. They can in something in like WhatsApp, right? If they wanted to, have, I don't know, some random, maybe league champions as emojis or something. They could do it because they own it. They own stake in it. They'd still have to go through some kind of internal licensing or something, but still, they wouldn't be paying a pretty penny for it, and they probably couldn't be told no. So, that's just kind of something that they would. These are just examples of some of the things that they'd be able to do and this is what I think they're doing. The more properties you own, the more things you could do. This is actually happening with Vivendi. Vivendi took over. They're working on taking over Ubisoft. They just got done basically hostile takeover for oh man, I can't remember the name. I feel bad because Corey works at Donna Savanas and I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head. But they are Vivendi owns tons of media companies. So they have tons of movies and everything with the Vivendi stamp on it. So if they wanted to make a game that was, and this is just as an example, right? If they wanted to make some game off of their platform, then or from licensing their movies or whatever, they could do it. Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was gamers. Damn it, I can't remember. They make Modern Combat and those other like mobile games that are direct ripoffs of PC games. Oh, you don't know either, right?
No.
They made the World of Warcraft game on iOS like a long ass time ago. Game Loft. There it is.
Game Loft.
Wow,
yeah,
there
yeah.
it is.
Sorry. Yeah, it took me a second.
Wow,
yeah,
man.
yeah. The order in chaos.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm still sleepy. I didn't get my nap. But yeah, so it's just people. These bigger companies are just trying to basically take over all the game stuff so they can continue proliferating their brand and their licenses. There's lots of money in that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. Man, this whole like EU thing has got my UK EU thing has got my brain just I'm not able to focus right now. So it's like, oh God, what's going on in the world? It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of things leaving things, by which I mean speaking of people having buyer's remorse, I guess. Star Citizen has now changed their terms of service reportedly to make it more difficult to get a refund, which is
difficult is an understatement.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just kind of reading this off of Kotaku. Interestingly enough, off of Kotaku UK. God damn it. But basically, they're saying that the new TOS that was released on June 10th has made a number of changes, but there's one specific clause that should give players cause to pause before clicking the I agree button. In the old TOS, backers were able to request a refund if Star Citizen wasn't released within 18 months of the game's estimated release date. However, with the new TOS, this states that the game needs to have ceased development, and it has removed any reference to the 18-month time limit. Basically, what that means is that as long as Cloud Imperium says that it's working on the game, then if you're a new backer to Star Citizen, you can't get a refund.
Yep.
Which is concerning. That's the sort of thing where you're like, especially for a game that's been having issues like Star Citizen with actually being produced.
Yeah.
I know Shizzle swears up and down that it's going to happen, it's going to be great, and it's going to be awesome, and maybe it is. But I backed Star Citizen so long ago that I forgot that I backed Star Citizen. Seriously, that was, God, 6 years ago now? Something ridiculous like that? No, it can't have been that long. 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. Ages ago.
It was a while, yeah.
It is a long, long time ago. And it was yeah, this game sounds really cool. Yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff. And they had tech demos. So it's obviously they've already started working on it and they're actually making headway. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and back it. And it's still not here. And they keep coming out with new things that are oh, and here's this ship you'll eventually be able to fly. And that it's gotten to the point now where people are essentially just buying concept art. And it's crazy that it still seems to be working. But B, very, very concerning for whether or not this game is ever actually going to be released. There's, at this point, zero chance of it ever living up to the hype. It's just impossible. There's no way to make a game now that everybody who plays it is going to enjoy. So no matter what, people are going to finally get their hands on it and be like, oh God, I've been waiting 23 years for this game. And they will not like it. And I don't know, it's just concerning to see a company that's having this much trouble actually launching a title, changing their TOS to make it so that they don't actually have to ever launch the thing.
And then there's the whole part about they if they feel like it's that they've actually used your money, your funding, then they don't have to refund it as well. So if they do decide that they're not going to cancel, they're going to cancel the project, they will refund you only if your money has not been spent. But
Yeah.
if you're canceling a project, usually that means you run out of money.
Yeah. usually the reason that you're canceling, especially a Kickstarter project, is because you done spent all that, and now you can't actually do it. And butts.
Yeah. So I just actually went into my Kickstarter list and I found my canceled pledge of $5 to Star Citizen. I feel like I dodged a bullet there. That $5, man. But it's I remember at the time the thing actually pushed me over was I was like, yeah, this looks really interesting, totally. And then they kept on adding more and more and more shit, and like every fucking day I was getting more. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day it felt like I was getting messages that are saying, oh yeah, we reached this thing, oh my god, we could build this now, and I was like, this is the bullshittiest thing I've ever seen. Like, I'm tired of seeing your name. I'm already over the game because of this, and I canceled basically rage canceled because I was like, I don't want to even hear about this game. I'm over it. But like, looking at my list here, I've backed a number of projects, and I think I just gave 27 projects I've backed. I didn't even know this, actually. What the fuck am I doing? And just looking at the list, it's like, okay, number 1, Detroit needs a statue of RoboCop. I don't think that's happened yet. Let's see, Detroit RoboCop statue. Let's see. Still coming to Detroit, February 22nd, 2016. All right, so it hasn't happened yet. Great. My first thing I ever backed, what year is this? Let's see. 2011. Did not happen. Great. Okay, next up, Wasteland 2. Did come out. I got it. It was awesome. Next up, the Ouya. I got it. It sucked. Let's see. Defense Grid, Artisans, which I don't think ever happened. Delva's Drop, which was okay. Chasm, which is still in development. Anne, which is probably never going to come out. Like, the development's so slow. Hex, I think, came out and already is, like, struggling. I'm not sure. God, Stonehearth, which developers walked away from. Let's see. Massive Chalice, I kind of like that. Maddie number 9, which doesn't look anything like what they promised. Man, Don't Starve Chester Plush. That worked. I got it. It's awesome. I love it. Bear Simulator. It sucked.
Yeah.
So it's just like the majority of probably 50% of the things that I've backed on here have not happened. Actually, you looked okay, no. Like 75% of the things on here have not happened yet. Like, they have not like fully been realized and they're not fully delivered. And some of these are years old. But what the hell, man? Like, it's I guess my point is, like, we talk about, oh man, don't back Kickstarter or whatever, but early access is the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we didn't back early access, I feel like we'd miss out on a lot of pretty good games.
Yeah, like, well, in a lot of ways, early access, at least you get something, right? Like, maybe you're buying early access and you're hoping that eventually whatever you get is going to morph into something good, like Hide and Holdout. Like, that game, we were like, yeah, early access, cool. This sucks. Maybe it'll be good later, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so at least with early access, you're getting something, basically.
Yeah.
With a lot of these Kickstarters, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw money at this and hope that eventually something happens. And there's certainly success cases for that. Like, We Happy Few was kickstarted, and it's like releasing on Xbox One soon, and it's been in early access on Steam for a while, and it's actually a really good game, and you can constantly see that they are actually working on the game. They are actually coming out with stuff. And even if what I currently have access to is all that I ever get out of We Happy Few, I feel like that's money well spent. Things like like Darkest Dungeon, like Shovel Knight,
Shovel
etc.
Knight,
Like there's definitely situations in which Kickstarters are successful. I think there needs to be some sort of way to, I don't know, like gauge the sort of capabilities of the people that you're kickstarting a little bit more. Like maybe they need to be a little bit more, maybe like Kickstarter should require people to be a little bit more upfront about exactly what they're doing with the money, or at least like give a little bit more info on it, because a lot of times you see someone who's like, yeah, Kickstarter, I'm gonna make a painting of some toast, give me money, I need $5,000. It's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. So maybe there could be some sort of like extra, like just requiring people to be more forthcoming with information on what they're going to do with the money when they get it could at least indicate to people if like Robert Space Industries or Cloud Imperium is like, okay, we need $12 million to make this game. Shit. And we're going to spend it all on finding more ways for you to give us money before we release the game. Like, then you'd be like, that doesn't seem like something that I want to spend money on. Yeah.
I think what was the most astonishing part about Star Citizen was just it wasn't necessarily the amount of money they got, which was a fair amount. And then, of course, after that, they got tons of money as well. It was the number of people that they had backing. The amount, basically, the 34,397 backers into 2 million works out to about $60 per person. So they basically got a bunch of people with basically just a couple of, of interview videos, standard Kickstarter type stuff and promotion and stuff like that, to buy a game. To flat out buy a game, and then all the money they made after it. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts, man. If this game doesn't come out, it's gonna be the biggest scam of the fucking of the century. Like the biggest game scam ever.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, basically, Star Citizen kind of has the hopes and dreams of the Kickstarter model riding on it at the moment, because no matter how many like success cases you can give for Kickstarter, it's kind of the poster child. And if the game, like, I don't think that it's vaporware, right? I don't think that it's just never going to come out and it's never going to release at all. I think what's more likely to happen at this point is it releases and people don't like it.
Right.
And if that happens, like, there's going to be a lot of, like, you talk about, like, how many people backed this thing. If I don't know, millions of people that backed it, if most of them end up not liking the game, well, then that's just kind of, that's a whole ton of people that are just never going to use Kickstarter ever again.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, except for you, because you'll apparently back fucking anything.
No, fuck you, man. Like, I feel like that. I feel like I carefully, if you'd asked me before I looked this up, like, do you back things? I'd be like, yeah, I back a couple things, right? But no, apparently that's wrong. I mean, I backed Atom, a tool of multi-purpose. It's basically a keychain, like can opener, like bottle opener, but it also has a few different hex on it, and also has a sawtooth, and it has a Phillips, and it has a small like measuring section on it. But it's about the size of a keychain, bottle opener. I backed that. Okay, I don't know why. I especially now it's like, oh my God, like I know 3 people right off the top of my head that have 3D printers that probably could have made one for $2.
Nice.
Fuck. I back Circuit Scribe, draw circuits instantly. It's that shit where you draw and like it's a filament type of ink, and you can draw circuits basically. I don't know why I bought that. Why did I buy that? I don't know. But I do have my Don't Starve plush. I have a few of them now, but I do have the Chester plush, and it's the best thing ever.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Ugh. I feel like I make okay decisions in Kickstarter.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to me, I've said this before as well, it seems to me like Kickstarter just kind of needs to go in the direction where it's used to finish a project, not used to create a project from start to finish, especially for a video game. Because especially games like Star Citizen, yeah, they take the amount of time that has currently already elapsed to produce. Like, Star Citizen, with what they were saying they wanted to do with it, was always going to take this long to actually come out.
Yep.
And now they've gotten themselves into this sort of catch-22 where in order to continue funding themselves, they need to continue promising more features, which they then have to develop, which means they need to fund themselves, which means they need to promise more features, et cetera, to the point where who knows if they'll ever actually be able to finish the game, or if they just need to, if they're just going to be permanently forever developing it and coming up with new features.
Right.
And honestly, like realistically, even if that wasn't the case, even if they had gotten all of the money they ever needed right at the start and they had metered it out all perfectly, and they were all set to go start to finish, regardless, what was going to happen is people were going to spend their 40, 50, 200 bucks on this game and then not get it for 6 years, because that's the amount of time it takes to develop something like this.
Yeah.
So it's like, can you really, as a like, is it really ever a good idea to say, yeah, give me your money and in 6 years I'll give you a game you might like? Because all that's going to happen in that situation is a year and a half in, people are pissed off.
Yeah, it's true.
And then they want a refund, and then you have to change your terms of service so that they can't get one. I guarantee the reason this is happening is because so many people are canceling their backs and their
Probably
their pledges, and they're like, oh shit, like we really need to find a way to stop this, because like I said, they have to continue funding themselves, and if people are able to just cancel, then that's the opposite of funding themselves. So yeah.
Yep. I realize that the Star Citizen subject is sensitive to some. Apologies if we may have offended somebody.
Shizzle's gonna be so mad.
Nah.
I'm just waiting for like the random Skype messages tomorrow. Like, no, fuck you. No, it's gonna be great.
No, he's played it. He said it's good. I hope that it is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want it to crash and burn, because that just makes all of us look like idiots.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like,
Especially my list of 27 bullshit projects. Yeah, it makes all it look dumb.
well, yeah, and like, what's gonna happen to, like, if Star Citizen fails? Like, if it goes tits up, what's gonna happen is all of the smaller Kickstarters that have resulted in games like Shovel Knight and like Darkest Dungeon and so on, those will never get anywhere, because people will be like, oh, like it will hurt the reputation of Kickstarter so bad. So yeah, hopefully that all works out.
Mm-hmm.
If the game is good, like, and I know Shizzle is super, like, A, he's super into this game, but B, like, he tends to be very, very opinionated about video games. If he doesn't like something, he does not like something. So with him saying that he likes it, like, that's at least promising.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, fair point. Shizzle also thinks that DayZ will be complete and launch someday.
He wants nothing more than to not have to play that fucking game.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've heard 6.0 is pretty good. I still haven't played it. But anyway, yeah, so speaking of people that are unable to fund themselves, this little company called Tiny Build, which is the... I believe they made Punch Club, is that correct?
They made actually a few. One I just played recently. Party Hard.
Okay.
They made Party Hard. They made
Speedrunners.
Yeah, Speedrunners. They made No Time to Explain. Everyone knows that game, at least the opening, anyways.
Yeah.
They made fuck, man. What else? They made something else that I've played. I'm trying to look at the list now. No, actually no, they didn't. Okay, but still, yeah, they played a bunch of games that I think a lot, like somebody here has played or seen somebody else play for sure. So not a tiny indie group, but not like a large indie group. Medium sized, just right indie group.
Yeah. So anyway, they came out with a statement just this last week here, basically just calling out G2A, which a lot of people already knew. G2A they were doing some shady shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have it's called a gray market. You can kind of like the reason it's called a gray market is because it's not the black market. It's not 100% illegal goods, but it's also not 100% legal goods either. So key resellers, they're basically, I guess the way to put it, like in an ideal world, if everything was up and up, G2A would be a site where you go and say, hey, I bought this Humble Bundle. I got a Steam key for a game that I already had. I will sell that Steam key on G2A to somebody else, and it'll be fine.
Right.
Like that way I'm able to pass this along to somebody else. I can make a little bit of money back myself, and it just offset the cost of essentially buying this game twice, right? So in an ideal world, that would be the number one use case for something like this. There's also occasionally supposedly there are some developers who will just sell keys directly through G2A, and they'll just partner with them and sell keys directly through them, which also happens as well. The biggest problem is that a lot of people use G2A essentially as a fence. Like what they do is, and it should be noted that in, I guess, slight defense of G2A, it's probably almost certainly not G2A that's actually doing the illegal activity. It's other people that are using it as a way to sell illegal goods. Because essentially what they'll do is somebody will get hold of a few thousand credit card numbers. They will just buy a shit ton of games and get the keys for that. And they'll be like, all right, now I have 1,000 Skyrim keys or something, right? Like I've bought a whole ton of these. They will then go and sell those keys on G2A. The actual owners of those credit cards will then recognize, oh shit, like someone just bought 50 copies of Skyrim on my credit card. I didn't buy that. So then they'll put in a chargeback. And their credit card company will say, oh, nope, it wasn't our customer that actually did that. So they will refund the money to them and then refuse to give that money to the original developer. So again, using Skyrim as an example, now Bethesda is out 50 keys, basically. If someone uses a stolen credit card, buys 50 Skyrim copies, gets 50 Skyrim keys, and then the original owner of that credit card does a chargeback, Bethesda gets no money, but the keys are already gone.
Right.
And there's ways that some developers are able to, especially larger developers are able to sort of figure out, like, okay, so we know now that these keys were purchased, these keys were purchased using a stolen credit card that's now been charged back, and we can deactivate those keys. And it takes some fairly advanced systems, and it has to be done very quickly. Otherwise, what ends up happening is someone buys it, and then they go to activate it, and it doesn't work, and they're just upset, but it's too late because then that person can't get their refund, and now the only person that's harmed in this situation is the end user, which is also not really ideal. And the end user will
go to Bethesda.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And Bethesda will have to be like, well, it's not our fault, and then they still look like dicks.
Yeah. So anyway, what ends up happening is they get these 50 keys, for sake of argument. They sell them on G2A. They make all of the money from selling those 50 keys. They get, even if they sell all of them for $10 each, that's now $50 or $500 that they've now gotten for essentially nothing because they used a stolen credit card in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda doesn't get any of that money. G2A takes a cut of that money, like a seller's fee or whatever. And yeah, they've now essentially found a way to steal a whole bunch of copies of Skyrim and sell it.
Yep.
And it's definitely illegal. The problem is that G2A doesn't do really anything to make sure that that's not happening. So yeah.
Yeah.
And again, just nullifying those keys and just saying, that's something that takes some fairly advanced systems to even be able to navigate that. So a lot of indie developers like Tiny Build probably just don't have the capability to even be able to track that. It's not a simple matter of going, we'll just go back and scroll through the logs. No, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
and also like I said, the person that ends up getting hurt is the end user who just thought that they were buying a copy of Skyrim, and so now they bought Skyrim. They're not gonna then go, oh, well, I guess the $20 I spent on that copy of Skyrim, I guess that must have been a stolen copy. I'm gonna go buy an actual copy of Skyrim now. No, they're gonna be like, what the fuck, Bethesda? I bought a copy of your game and it doesn't work.
Yeah, so there's like a number of things that are not in place that would actually make this whole thing work. So on G2A side, their marketplace is set up in a way that they have no way of knowing if a key is legit or not. Keys aren't tagged when they come in. You know, you make a listing, like it's like eBay, right? Like eBay doesn't know if the thing you're selling is stolen. They have no idea.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, what G2A doesn't provide, unless you purchase it, of course, is some kind of money back guarantee or something. And it's because they don't have any kind of deal with anybody to check these keys, right? So like G2A doesn't have a system in place where they could say, okay, Tiny Build, is this key legit, right? Is this key legit? And then on Tiny Build side, that's a whole other facet they have to build. You know, it's like, okay, now I have to be able to track all these keys, so I know if somebody comes to me and says, is this key legit, I can say yes or no. And then there's like the time period between that. So what happens is, does the key go into escrow, and then while it gets verified, and then you have to wait for, you know, a 3-developer indie team somewhere to verify, you know, when they get, you know, done with their actual full-time job to, you know, go through a list and verify if the key is legit or not and get back to you. So it's sitting escrow for like a week. You know, that's not good service. And so when there's no winning here, like as long as G2A is a thing and it keeps operating in this capacity until like some kind of major class action lawsuit happens, there's just there is no way to fix it because there's too many elements of this process that do not exist to protect the consumer and to protect everybody else, the consumer and the developer. There's just nothing in place. So somebody has to eat it somewhere, and in most cases, it's going to end up being the developer because of the way, you know, chargebacks and all that stuff work. And so the whole thing sucks, but there's just no real like end-to-end user legit way of doing it that is good customer service, a good experience, and that benefits everybody.
Yeah. Well, and like Methylene's actually making a really good point in my chat right now. It's also worth pointing out. A lot of times chargebacks, they don't happen immediately. Like the person will have bought his key from G2A, they're going to redeem it immediately, right? Like,
right.
Obviously, they're going to just, I bought this. I think I'll sit on it for 30 to 60 days. No, they're going to go ahead and use that key immediately. At that point, the chargeback has not happened yet. Because at that point, like, this key has been in existence for a couple of days, maybe. And the person whose credit card was stolen possibly at this point doesn't even know that their credit card was stolen. They haven't looked at they haven't gotten their credit card bill yet. And unless they're, for some reason, have their credit cards set to like give them an alert every time they spend $20, like they're not going to get a notice that says, hey, by the way, we just thought we'd let you know that you spent $20. Like it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the chargeback doesn't actually happen until well after this person already has their game. And at that point, it's done. Like, you can deactivate the key all you want. There really isn't a way to then revoke that game from somebody. And half the time, they're already finished with the game.
Right.
By the time it happens. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I played Skyrim for a while, and now I'm done. So, and it's just giant. It's just a giant amount of mess. And it's really on companies like G2A to try to screen that a little bit better, or put another system in place, like you said, where G2A can talk to developers directly, like as they're selling the key, and make sure that the key is actually legit. But even then, like the whole gray market, basically the end result here is we need to figure out how to stop using keys for things.
That's oh man, I was thinking about that. It's like the culprit here is keys. Before, the culprit was floppy disks, you know, or CDs. It's like, and then we keep coming with more and more DRM to fix these problems. This is a legit problem, yeah, totally. But is it in the larger picture? Is it like that big of a deal? We just have people who just keep buying from these sites.
Well, the reason that it's come up recently is, again, coming out of this blog post that Tiny Built put together. They figured out the number of chargebacks that have been based on fraudulent keys being sold, and it has cost them close to $450,000. And for a tiny, LOL, tiny build, for a small indie developer, that is massive.
Yeah.
That is a huge amount of money to be out. Yeah. So it's a problem. Like a lot of places nowadays are starting to move away entirely from key-based distribution. It's part of why you see like Ubisoft has Uplay and EA has Origin in addition to Steam, because that way there don't need to be keys. And you can just say, if you want to buy our game, go to our thing and buy our thing through that. And like even games like, or even companies like Blizzard, like are increasingly moving in the direction of, like, obviously keys still exist for Blizzard games, but if you buy it through the Battle.net shop in the app, I'm pretty sure I haven't actually tried this, but I'm pretty sure it just gives you the game and you don't need a key because it just unlocks it on your account. And so that's kind of the direction that a lot of this is heading in, which just cuts out keys entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that like, what does that mean for things like Humble Bundle? Like, does that mean that now when you buy the Humble Bundle, you put in your Steam ID and it just automatically activates the things on your Steam account?
I mean, that'd be
cool. What
cool.
does that mean? It'd be cool, but then what does that mean when you buy a Humble Bundle that has a game you already have? Like, does it put it in your gift inventory or something so you can give it to somebody? Does that actually solve the problem? Or do we now just have a gray market for selling gifts? Like, I don't know. It's a very, very tough problem to actually legitimately solve.
Right, without shoveling it onto somebody, some other part of a platform or some other platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Like G2A is obviously a core part of the issue here,
Yes.
but if it wasn't G2A, it would be something else. It would be eBay, or it would be, I don't know, Green Man Gaming, or probably not Green Man Gaming, but you know what I mean? Like, it would be some other, just someone else would pop up that does the same thing, essentially. So, like, we can try to, like, educate consumers and say, hey, when you're buying something from G2A, there's a good chance that you're just ripping off the original developer. But when it's 50% off retail price, most people aren't going to give a shit.
Yeah, it's so going back to the $450,000 the Tiny Build claims they've lost. That's an inflated number. They definitely lost money, but this is like saying, you lost X amount of dollars to piracy, right? The argument's flawed because those people probably weren't going to buy your game, but there's different types of people, right? There are people who will not buy the game unless they can get it for free or for dirt cheap. There are people who, and I do this too, I don't use G2A, but for like other sales and stuff like that, like if you go to a Best Buy, you're not going to just pick something off the shelf and go to register. You're going to pick something off the shelf, scan it, and then like check on Amazon and see how much it costs. You can price match it, and the same thing you do with online. If you see a game you're gonna buy, you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy this game. Well, let me go and pop open G2A and see if they have it cheaper, and then you end up buying it through there. Like that's another type of person there. And so that in their mind they're just like, oh yeah, well I was gonna buy the game, but I got it for a little bit cheaper. If it wasn't available on G2A, then I was going to go ahead and buy it anyways. It was in my cart, right? So. That number is inflated for sure, but
I think it's less inflated than it is with piracy, though, because we're talking about people that have spent money. It's just less,
right?
Like for a lot of people that will pirate a game, they just don't want to spend money at all. It doesn't matter if it's $5 or $50; they're not going to spend that money. Whereas if we're talking about the difference between, because like the people who are selling these fraudulent keys on G2A, they still want to make a good chunk of money out of it. So it'll be $35 instead of $50 or something for a game. And that's an amount of money that's still high enough that someone who was going to pirate, they're still just going to pirate. They're not going to be like, I could save $15 on this.
Yeah. The only way that this battle is going to win, realistically, outside of all the things I already talked about, like everybody having all these provisions up and everything, which won't happen, is if G2A just get a class action lawsuit, or if they come up with some kind of like no questions asked user refund, which would be abused to all hell. But given how much money they make, by and large with their site, like how much money they make just in general, which is a massive amount of money, they might be able just to take the hit. and maybe they could be the good guys after all, you know. But I honestly I think as long as they exist, this problem will exist.
Yep.
It's like pawn shops, like you know, as long as they're there, then people will smash your window and take
Yeah.
your sunglasses, excuse me, and go right to the nearest pawn shop and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Most pawn shops at least seem to try to not sell stolen goods just because they know that if someone shows up and their shit was stolen, then they're just going to be out the money that they spent on it.
Yeah. You got some 40-year-old kids and you're coming with a Rolex. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Like G2A is just the like they're just sort of the they're the what's the word I'm looking for? They're almost kind of like an escrow in this case, where they don't actually like they're not the ones that bought the things to begin with, right? So yeah. Yeah, it could be a matter of there needs to be some sort of like, all right, G2A, here's this lawsuit that says that you've been like knowingly selling, like reselling keys that you know at least a large portion of them are probably fraudulent, and you've done nothing to prevent that. And there may be some sort of angle there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Some kind of regulation, like nationwide or whatever regulation, kind of like the RIAA or the MPAA would do it too, actually. You'd basically force them out of the market. That's completely plausible, actually. There's already associations going up for like esports, and we already have the ESA for just general gaming. They don't necessarily have the same authority and stuff that you see like with or any real authority like you see with the MPAA and the RIAA. But still, like something like that would totally do it, because then they could just say, hey, you know what, here it's illegal to do it because of these things that we've passed through Congress that we've lobbied for. So guess what? GTFO.
Yeah. So speaking of GTFO, by which I mean speaking of an acronym formed of several letters, by which I mean speaking of Twitch removing sub-emotes. So this one caught me by surprise, and I kind of understand it, but I had an emote hit by this, which was my S key emote. It was really super sad. I just randomly, because like I had this emote which was just an S key, like from a keyboard. It's a key that has an S on it, and the reason is I play World of Warcraft a lot. Obviously, I backpedal a lot in World of Warcraft. I kind of don't give a shit that it bothers people, because I'm just like, what the fuck ever, who cares? I'm not trying to push like 2800 rating or anything. I don't care if I'm in a random battleground and I backpedal slightly while I'm still 40 yards away from the guy I'm trying to shoot.
Yes, whatever excuses. You backpedal.
Don't care.
Right?
Yeah,
S key all-star, I get it.
I backpedal all the time, yeah. So I'm definitely an S key all-star. So I had this S key so that whenever I backpedaled and shit, like people in the chat could just spam the S key because I thought that would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this email from Twitch that was like, your S key emote has been declined. And I was like, what? Did they think it was like copyrighted or something? And no, the problem was that it had an S on it.
Yep, it had a letter on it.
It has a single letter. And so I can understand, like, I got a little bit mad about it at first. I can understand after thinking about it, like, okay, the reason they don't want it to have, they don't want to have single letter emotes is because then people can spell shit. And if they can spell shit using emotes, then that was obviously going to bypass like profanity filters and stuff.
Oh my god, which is also bullshit, but go ahead.
Yeah. So like if I have like if someone has a chat room and they've blacklisted the word I don't know, shit as example, and then someone uses my S key emote along with someone else's HINT emotes, then that's now they're now able to say the word shit in this chat room despite the profanity filter being in place.
Right.
It's kind of annoying because it means that like I can understand it, and I'm always supportive of ways to make Twitch chat be less of the fucking worst, but it just seems a little too much to me.
Yeah, so So this is actually something that actually went under a lot of people's radars.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an announcement. It was only something that you maybe would have noticed if you subscribed to somebody who was affected by this. So what happened was Tuesday, I think, Monday, Tuesday, people started getting emails. Streamers started getting emails saying that such and such was removed because it violates such a policy about offensive and potentially hate whatever bullshit whatever, right? Basically because it could offend somebody is fucking what it boils down to. And so Laura got hit. I think Jesse Cox got hit. Quite a few people got hit. Somebody had a cat butt, and I guess the anus was too much or something because there was a little star for the butt, right? And that got removed. Middle finger got removed from a bunch of people. So it's just like basically all these things just got removed. And so it went under the radar unless you follow these people. And it was a quiet big deal because it was like, well, wait a minute, this is kind of dumb. Especially to your point with the S key. Somebody went through and looked at that and said, that is a letter S. I'm going to remove it.
Yeah.
When instead what they could have done is says, that is a letter S. I'm going to log it as a letter S. And when it's used in conjunction with something else, it will come across to the spam filter as something that cannot be used.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've obviously already gone through the process of looking at it and saying, okay, yeah, there's a letter there. They could have, instead of pushing the deny this one button, they could have come up with an actual system for this that solves the problem and said, okay, this is a letter S. If someone uses this, treat it like a letter S. And like that's a system that they should make anyway, because there's still 5,000 other ways to bypass the profanity filter.
Right.
Like, guess what? Instead of using the letter S, I use like the little I forget what it's like, the double S symbol or something. Like I use any one of the 5,000 Cyrillic or other characters that looks like an
keys
S
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are so many other ways for me to make an S happen in this. Like, I put a space between everything. Guess what? Problem solved. Like, it's so bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, already in chat, like they already have a number of things. It's
use a $. There you go.
And and I get it. Like, it's not. This is probably one of the things that have gone in place after the Hearthstone incident, right? And where Twitch chat discovered that there were black people who play video games, apparently. What? And so this is probably a response to that. But regardless, the solutions that we're suggesting on this show seem a bit more overall friendly to just everybody involved. And also, I feel like it'd probably do a pretty good job of just kind of cleaning things up. So, because I don't know, it just feels like like you said, there's a billion ways to make letters happen. And even without that, there's always a space bar, or periods, or colons, or dash, or whatever. It just feels like it just feels like somebody just wanted a feather in their cap. Like, oh, hey, boss, we cleaned up all of the emotes.
Yeah. And it's such a mixed message too, because like a huge part of the overall Twitch problem is that so many streamers, including larger streamers, are just able to do whatever the fuck they want. So like, if you're gonna ban like cat butt emotes, but still allow streamers, I'm not gonna name any names specifically, but like still allow people to have donation messages that come up that are just anybody can type whatever they want into, and it's like, I'm gonna shit on your mom's dick and crap like that. Like, okay. And like there's streamers who themselves are saying things like that just constantly. It's like, how come that's okay and there's no reprimand happening to streamers for acting like that, but you can't have a picture of a cat or a cat's butt?
Or the middle finger, something that's
or an S key.
Yeah. Like, some of these emotes actually exist in Apple's emoji library. Or just the
Yeah.
general emoji library. And it's just like if it's in every emoji library, like the general emoji, it should be available on Twitch chat for fuck's sake. If anything,
Yeah.
for compatibility purposes, when you're watching a stream and you want to chat on mobile and you want to throw up, some high fives or something, I don't know. George Carlin is rolling in his grave. That's absolutely correct, Han. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he called that shit. We're gonna offend
Yeah.
ourselves to fucking death.
Yeah. And like I don't have a problem with like if Twitch legitimately wants to crack down on butts or something, right? Like if Twitch legitimately wants to go, okay, we're gonna change our image and we're gonna be wholesome and family friendly, and so there's no more butts or anything like that because that's too far over the line. Sure, like if that's the decision they want to make, they're welcome to it. But that's a decision that needs to be made. Emotes are the last place they need to be worrying about that, basically. Like, they need to start holding streamers accountable for their actions. They need to stop promoting that kind of actions themselves. Like, Jesus Christ, we were doing the Warcraft regionals a couple of weeks ago. Or excuse me, last week, not regionals, qualifiers, last weekend. And the entire time in the Twitch chat room was a Twitch employee with the little wrench. And he was just like inciting people to spam shit and like complaining about how when people got banned for saying things and so on. It's like, come on, guys. Like, really? Mixed messages much?
Yeah.
I expect better of them.
Oh man, it's so dumb. But
Yeah.
it makes me wonder what's next, or maybe like what they're like if they're I don't know like. Are they cleaning up for some reason? Like, are they trying to crack down and clean up for like some bigger project or something? Like, or like maybe because I hate to say Amazon because everyone forgot, that Amazon is actually Twitch is actually Amazon, right? But like, is that something that's kind of coming into play? Maybe Amazon's like, hey, yeah, we can't do this. And the reason why I bring up Amazon is because Google works like this. If you support Google ads if you use Google ads on your website. If you have anything that is like blacklisted by Google in general, like if you link to certain areas of 4chan or something, you will get a message from them, and I know this from experience. You'll get a message from them, and they'll say, "We're going to disable your Google Ads account if you do not remedy these situations on these particular sites." And they give you like a list of sites and pages where this stuff happens. We had to do massive cleanup on some of our sites to create some kind of filter because we didn't have filters before. It was like, yeah, let them post whatever they want. But then, because of the way the Google Ads worked, Google Ads was able to detect those things, and we're like, oh crap, now we have to create a secondary filter that basically led to, and this is some of you guys, maybe you guys didn't know this is actually kind of interesting. So whenever you click on a link somewhere and it goes to another page and it says, hey, you're about to leave the site and go to this page. Are you sure you want to go there? Don't think it's 100% because they're trying to make sure you're safe about what you're clicking on. That's probably part of it. But notice that page probably doesn't have any ads on it. Their ad provider probably said, hey, you can't put ads on the same page that you have, dick flowers or something like that, right? We just can't do that. And so what you do is you make that link lead to another page internally, right? And that page doesn't have ads and will contain the link that you're looking for. So that's what those pages are for, and that's what we had to build into some of our sites. So going back to the Amazon thing, maybe Amazon is kind of like, hey, we can't have that be part of our platform. Maybe we want to start doing some Twitch integration with stuff, like with their, the Amazon Fire Sticks and Fire TV. Maybe they want to actually build some kind of better integration with that, but we can't have these things happening in this wholesome environment that we're trying to create with Amazon.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it is just sort of like a directive coming from someone somewhere of do things to clean up Twitch chat, and someone thought to themselves one day, emotes are a thing in Twitch chat. Let's try to find a way to lower the amount of garbage in Twitch chat by changing emotes. It just didn't bother to think about if it was going to actually be effective or if it was going to cause more harm than good or if it meant anything in the face of how streamers act on Twitch. I don't know, man. It's weird. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I miss my S key emote.
What did you replace it with?
I haven't replaced it yet. I've been thinking of like making it the whole like WASD and trying to find some way to indicate that the S is being pressed or something. Yeah, there's probably a way to do that. Maybe I'll just like make that one a different color or something. But yeah, I'll figure something out.
Well,
Worst case, I'll
S-key.
just.
I still have my poop
Yeah.
emote, and
Yeah.
I have the balls in your mouth emote still.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you're really lucky that you didn't put any letters on either of those.
Yep.
Well, all right.
Hold on.
Hold
Hold
on.
I need to tune this thing. Hold on.
But are you playing that horrible
I was trying to play us out, but I mean, I thought
Blister
maybe
in the Sun?
you bust out the thing and we kind of go out, you know?
not to Blister in the Sun? That song is terrible.
Fucking A, man, come on. I'm playing with the fucking stylus that's attached by a wire, and I'm trying to, and I got the vibrato on. And you're not gonna give me anything, huh? No kazoo back up or nothing? Come on.